Thank you. This is going off to a great start. You may see on the top left-hand side of your screen that we are recording this meeting. So if anybody needs to refer back to it, or anybody that missed it that will want to watch it later, they can. So everyone just be mindful and be on your best behavior. That includes myself. Okay. So for today, for our devotions, we have the Matthew 11:28 text. Jesus says to us, "Come to me, all who are struggling hard and carrying heavy loads, and I will give you rest." So what are you carrying that you need to unload? Imagine that you are holding it in your hands. In your mind, place what you are holding into the strong, sacred hands of Jesus. Trust that he loves you and wants to carry it for you. And then another text that goes along with this is Isaiah 40, verse 30 and 31. Youths will become tired and weary. Young men will certainly stumble, but those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will fly up on wings like eagles. They will run and not be tired. They will walk and not be weary. And the little message on this is, I've read that a migrating eagle flies around 98 miles per day and can reach 225 miles per day. An average eagle's wingspan is between 6 to 7 feet. Can you imagine flapping wings that long for 98 to 225 miles? But here's the thing, eagles actually spend very little time in flight flapping their wings. On long flights, they usually soar on thermals, a column of rising air, until they are high enough. Then they primarily glide and soar, covering a long distance without using much energy. The Christian life is also a long, sometimes challenging journey. How do we faithfully live, dealing with all the life throws at us without growing weary and giving up? We learn to soar like eagles. Rather than wearing ourselves out, flapping our wings in our own strength, we learn to soar on God's strength. By seeking God through scripture and prayer, we find God's wind, ruach in Hebrew, which is also translated as spirit. This is the good news, and we can rest in God's spirit and soar on. So let's pray. God, there are days when we just don't feel like we have the strength to keep going. We confess that we try to do things our way and in our own strength. Help us to stay near to you so that the Holy Spirit can help us soar in your strength. Amen. I love this. I think this gives us true testament to what 2021 can look like, but it also reflects perfectly, I think, on what 2020 looks like. We were panicked. We were starting to get weary, but we persevered and had an incredible year, which is what we get to celebrate and come to now. The dogs are very much present today as well. So that is what I have for devotions. So may God be present at this meeting and in our continued year of 2021. And I will turn it back over to you. What are you shaking your head for?
All righty. Thank you, Pastor. Our first order of business is to approve the minutes from last year's annual meeting. So this is going to be our first test at voting, thumbs up, thumbs down. Hopefully you all have had an opportunity to review the minutes that were sent out from last year's meeting. Do I get motions for voting or not? I can't remember. Am I using it? Okay. So I would like a motion on the floor to approve the minutes.
So
I make a
moved.
motion.
Okay,
Second.
Okay, discussion of anything from the annual meeting minutes from last year? Any discussion from anything, anybody? Okay, so we vote to approve the 2020 annual meeting minutes. All in favor, let's give a nice big thumbs up in your window. Okay, those opposed? Looks like it was unanimous for the approval of the 2020 minutes. Okay. Next item on the agenda is pastor's reports. Back to you, Pastor Molly.
Thanks, Dave. I feel like we're doing like a newscast. Back to you. I love this.
Don't talk
Um,
about the weather. Don't talk about the weather.
Not going to. I am not the weather woman. Trust me, I'm not. So my pastor's report, it's all, whether you have it in front of you, printed or online, just kind of talks about the year we had. And the three things I just wanted to highlight from that is the year of renewal. First and foremost, it has been put on pause just because of COVID and our quarantine and stuff. And the first part has been done, and that's the conversations that we had. The second part is what we eventually will get back to, where we will interview members of the community and kind of see where their hearts are at, and which may completely change now because of the pandemic. So once things kind of get back in swing again, we too will pick up with the year of renewal. I just don't want people to think that that has fallen off the radar in any way, shape, or form. So that is the year of renewal. The church statistics have been printed in the annual meeting as well. So you'll be able to see the baptisms. The funerals was a little tricky this year because we had members die, but not all of them had funerals. And so we had to make sure that we specified that in the annual report. So you can be just clear and understand how that went as well. The third thing I want to mention quick is the time and talent. So Jenny and I have been working very hard on recreating a new time and talent form, because we feel like we are going to the same people to ask to get things completed. And as grateful as we are for those people, we really want to be able to have a fresh, clean slate, and really be able to hone in on everybody's gifts and talents, so everyone can be a part of the ministry of St. Mark in some way, shape, or form. So Jenny and I created a Google form that will get emailed out tomorrow. Everybody get excited. Tomorrow, you are going to get an email with a link that you click on, and it will take you through, and you'll fill it out just like an online kind of application thing. It's got multiple pages. Okay. So know when you go in, you're going to get to the bottom of your page and go to the next. So there's multiple pages, and they are very specifically laid out about specific talents, specific things, like not just, do you like to help with meals? Well, do you like to cook the meal? Do you like to set up? Do you like to clean up? Do you like to serve it? I mean, so it gets very, very, very specific. And I think this is going to help us that much more be able to direct where we need the help and who we can ask for specifically for that. Property has its own kind of breakdown too. So don't just say that you like to fix things. If you have a specification in electric or construction or woodwork, or those are all listed on there. So you get to be very detailed in the things that you like to do and the things that you are good at doing. Do not be modest, people. You are good at these things and you know what you're good at. So please put those down. Okay. Oh, at the end.
Yeah, no, on each of them.
Oh, at each of the bottoms of each of the sections too, there is a line that says other. So if we have not listed your gift or talent, you have the option to write that in. So do that. And I apologize if we miss anything. So you will get that tomorrow. And what's great about the Google form is that when you're done finishing it, you'll hit submit and it creates a spreadsheet for us. Beautifully already organized. So we hope that everybody will fill that out. I would like to think that if each of you here that are listening to me, oh, thanks. Each of you that are listening to me, if each of you could try to remind another member of the church, maybe call them and be like, have you filled out your time and talent? If each one of you does one person, we could cover everybody. Okay. So make that a goal to try and email or talk to someone about filling out their time and talent, please. Thank you. The only other thing that I was just going to briefly mention that didn't make it into my report is a contemplative spiritual practice class that we may get to be a part of through St. Kate's starting this coming fall. And everything is paid for. Everything is brought in by a spiritual contemplative spiritual practices leader. So that is going to be something that is going to be in the works. if spiritual practices is something that you want to learn more about, that you are curious about, more information is going to be coming out about that soon. And you can but I just wanted to give that a little heads up radar while I have you all here, that this coming fall, there's going to be a contemplative spiritual practices opportunity for a small group of the congregation to do, which then eventually will be taught to larger numbers of the congregation as we go forward. So that is all I have for pastor's report, other than just, I love each and every one of you. I thank each and every one of you for making the year that was crazy and different, doable and possible, and many different ways that we were able to thrive. So could not do it without this brilliant and wonderful congregation. So thank each and every one of you from the bottom of my heart for getting us through this year. And I am excited to see what is for 2021, because I'm keeping an open mind. I'm continuing to keep an open mind. But thank you, and thank you again. That's all I have.
All right, thanks, Pastor. Appreciate it.
Back to you.
I don't have one of those fancy microphones. As I as I prepare to leave as council president, I just want to say thank you to my fellow council members for your support and all the discussions that we've had. We were only able to have one full in-person meeting during the last year. We met in February as we got Nancy and David up to speed, and then we never really got to get together again as an entire team. Most of our meetings were on Zoom, or we had a few of us in person and the others on Zoom. So that's obviously some challenges when you don't get to see faces and sit around a table and talk. But I want to thank each and every one of my fellow council members. My number one priority was to keep our congregation members healthy and safe. Not knowing each and every one of you, we all have different health concerns or age concerns or people that we take care of concerns. And my number one item was to keep all of us healthy and safe. Some of us lost family members to COVID-19. Some of us were kept away from loved ones because of the restrictions and such. And that's been a very draining component. Me being a classroom teacher, trying to deliver instruction via Zoom has been a huge challenge. And we know the deficiencies that entails, but thank you for working with us. Thank you for your understanding. Whether you might have liked it or not, we've had to make some tough choices and decisions. And those are the things that we had to make. So as council president, I think we did as best as we could. Was it perfect? No. Did we learn every single month? Yes, we did. Did we try to make adjustments as we could? Yep, we tried to. We heard concerns and questions from our congregation members. So your concerns did not go unnoticed. We discussed them at length, but in the final component, we wanted everyone to be healthy and safe. So thank you for your understanding with that. As we go through team reports, I'll maybe try to highlight one or two items, and then I'll refer to whoever submitted it or the names of the people that submitted it. So if you have anything that you would like to add, that way we get to see your face and hear your voices also. So as we go along, the COVID response team. I'll just kind of mention the COVID response team. We met about every 4 to 6 weeks. And we discussed what the current numbers were, what the current guidelines were, both from the CDC and from the Minnesota Department of Health. We tried to make some adjustments. We also had some opportunities to get some improvements to our building itself. We installed ultraviolet lights in all of our furnaces, which is basically a hospital type grade light sanitation system. We were not able to improve our actual filters. In talking to our HVAC guy, Dennis, he did not recommend increasing the MERV rating or the filter rating on our furnaces because that just burns out the motor. They're not designed for that level of filtration. So we were bound to looking at adding UV lights. We've also added we've got some disinfecting sprayers And we have some people in the church who have been trained as to how to use those types of sprayers. What we're looking at meeting again coming up the beginning of March, I believe, and we'll see where numbers are at, and we'll evaluate the current situation with where things are at, where how many vaccinations have been done. So look for an upcoming component on that. If there's anybody else from the COVID response team that wanted to add any items, now would be a opportunity for you to do so. Okay.
I'll just hold on. I'll just quickly say that the COVID team is still going to continue to meet. Our next meeting is coming up in a couple weeks, and we know that our job is far from over, but we will continue to keep everyone up to date with kind of where we're planning to go and how the week to week changes and new information will affect us at St. Mark.
They're asking who the COVID members.
Oh, you're asking who the COVID members team are. Okay, yes. So it is myself, it is Dave Mundale, it is Linda Madsen, it is Sandy Geslin, it is Floyd Saunders, and Kent Bernard,
And me.
and Jenny.
And if anybody else wanted to join us, you're more than welcome to. Just you can send an email note to Jenny or Pastor, and we will certainly include you in our next meeting and for discussions. Okay. All righty. Worship has certainly changed, and there's some items there in the annual report talking about how worship has changed during our COVID-19 experience there. We went to outdoor gatherings, and those items there that we've had some outdoor gatherings, the bring your own lunch, the lemonade with the pastor, and campfires and music. Those are some things that we had outdoor gatherings. Food and families, there was some information there about food and families, and we raised money for, was it $16,000? Is that with a joint effort with other congregations, 5 other churches that we had over there, and we were able to raise as a collective over $16,000 to help 234 families. That's a pretty impressive undertaking and success that we had there. Community Life Ministries. We are looking for the return of the bazaar in 2021. So that the brief little information there submitted by Nora. Nora, thank you. Anything that any of the people from the bazaar want to add or give a plug about for 2021? Card ministry, we have all received some cards from the card ministry group, and Karen did a great job outlining when and how cards are sent out. So thank you, Karen, for that update. Anything you'd like to add, Karen or anybody? Okay, food and festival team. Obviously, since we were quarantined most of the year, food and festival, we had a few things like I think the last time we got together was the taco rice bowls after the last annual meeting. Those were delicious. We also had the donuts served during the drive-by, and then also the cookies and cider during the live nativity. So thank you, food and festival team. Friendship Club. Anita, would you want to add anything about the Friendship Club? We also have there's hi, Anita.
Anita, you're on mute.
You gotta
I just unmuted. New iPad, have to learn it. The only thing is, I don't know the future of this group. We need the new retirees to join us to make this a group that can continue. It's been meeting since the 80s, and the newly retired people, yeah, not interested. So, and the old ones are dying off. So not to be a downer, but it's reality.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
All righty. We have some information there on the prayer chain and the softball team also.
I'm out.
Oh, did I skip something?
Nope, we just need to go back to food and festival quick, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah, can I say something, Dave?
Yes, you certainly can. Go ahead.
It was brought to my attention, if you look at the financial part of it, the Jim Erickson funeral, that is something that I was asked to do because our funeral team was not available for that funeral.
Okay.
So it actually, the monies there should not have come out of Food and Festival. It should have come out of the funeral fund, and that has been discussed and will be changed and taken care of.
Okay.
But I'd also like to note on page 28, under the funeral team report, they say that there was only one funeral. That was Ruth Johnson's. We did have the Jim Erickson funeral at church. That was before COVID started. So there were actually two held in person at church. And I think that's something that can be changed in the minutes too then.
Okay. Thank you for bringing that up. We'll revisit that also when we get to the funeral team. Excellent. Thank you. Okay. Okay. Softball players, see Daryl. To contact Daryl if you're interested in that. Men who love donuts. Jim or Don, do you want to share some of the jokes or some of the world problems that you solved during the donut time? Okay. All righty, and hopefully they'll warm up fast, or we can look at having the building opened up for you to be able to meet indoors and enjoy your warm cup of coffee. Okay. Next we have the quilters and the St. Mark Crafty Quilters. Looks like the quilters group, they put together the one quilt and raised over $1,200 for the Tanzania scholarships. Congratulations on that. Nice job. And then the other quilter group, it looks like they made a whole bunch of face masks. I know I helped myself to a few of those face masks also. They were quite helpful. And we had a source for free fabric, which was good. And looks like Jenny and Karen did a lot of work with some other items there. Jenny or Karen, either one of you want to add anything to that? Okay. Moving on to Faith Development Ministries. Sunday school, confirmation, adult education. Jenny, do you want to highlight anything in regards to those two programs? More than what is on the minutes at all by chance?
No, not really.
Okay.
We're trying to do as much as we can right now to connect with the kids and go from there. We're hoping for a little bit more things we can do this summer with everybody. So.
Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good. We have some information that was in there about the Women's Bible Study Group from Trisha. She submitted some information there. The Vacation Bible School and mission trip. We were supposed to go last summer, but we're hoping that maybe summer of 2021 we'll be able to bring something towards that. The youth ministry team. We're coming to the end of the 1-year decision period. Back about a year ago, March 1st, Tori sent out letters in regards to the youth accounts. And some of those had been inactive for quite a while, members that had left. And those members were supposed to choose by this coming March 1st for what they wanted their funds to be utilized for within the church. Pastor or Jenny, you want to talk about the two new funds that were created under the youth ministry team category? Looks like Pastor will probably take that one.
Yeah. So the two funds that were created under the CYF subcategory, you'll see in the annual meeting that money was transferred. You'll see under the CYF, and there's a scholarship I have it up over here. We have like 9 screens over here. It's great. So we have fundraising and then scholarship and service trips. So people who had individual accounts that have been documented for many, many years. Joanne Larson was in charge of kind of overseeing the treasury of the CYF. And so we worked with her closely with Tori to figure out what we want to do with all these little pockets of money that are assigned to people. So what we did is we created a letter that went out to all these families that we knew had money and gave them the options of what to do with that money, whether they wanted to put it into a fundraising fund, a scholarship fund for youth to do all sorts of things. And finally, what's the third one?
Oh, sorry.
You had it up. Scholarship, fundraising, oh, and service trips. If we wanted to put money, if they wanted to put their money toward any youth service trips that we have going forward. And they had until March 1st of this year to respond back to us. We got a lot of great responses from people. We're still waiting on a few. So actually we are going to send out another contact to those people we haven't heard from yet and let them know what their options are in their timeline. If we haven't heard from them, then we will discuss with the council and finance team what we want to do with that money going forward. So just so you are aware, and then we also have, just so you know, so there's the CYF fund in general. We're going to put the word general after that. So everything will have a specific labeling in the CYF umbrella. So there'll be the CYF general fund, CYF fundraising, CYF scholarship, CYF service trips. So it'll be very specific as to where each of those things comes from going forward now. So does anybody have any questions on that? If so, you can click and raise your hand so we can see. Otherwise, that's kind of how CYF has kind of been cleaned up. Oh, Yvonne and Wally, someone has a question.
Me. So there's been talk about moving all this money into the general checking account for the church. Is that still under discussion or has it happened and I missed it?
It happened already.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then I
Yep.
missed it.
So we have just the one general account now, like the crisis fund is not its own separate, it's under general as well. So that way we just have it all under one umbrella and we can easily track going from there. Yes. So thank you. If you want to lower your hand, Yvonne.
Okay.
Oh, never mind. We did it for you. Okay.
Awesome. So yeah, so some changes with children, youth, and family, and just cleaning up the account a little bit, bringing it more up to date, and creating those 3 sub accounts, and then renaming the other account as the general fund. So just so we have things cleared out on there. Okay, looking at, where was I at from? So finishing up with youth, family, and then moving on to social ministry team. We had a very successful sandwich project back a year ago, January. We had another successful Super Bowl Sunday a year ago here. And then we had our bake sale. The sponsor of family was a big beneficiary of St. Mark and generous for quite a few years. And we had only over 20 families that were supported there. Cheryl or Anita, anything you would like to add in regards to the social ministry team? Okay. Excellent, thank you. Oh, Anita, go ahead.
Just a reminder, today is Super Bowl Sunday, and you can send in your contributions to St. Mark with Super Bowl Sunday in the memo line.
Excellent. Okay. Yeah, one thing that we added this past summer also was the drop box right by the front door. And that's been a very helpful component for people dropping things off at the church. So I believe it was Gary Mann who installed that. So thank you, Gary, for drilling into the church and mounting the drop box. Jenny, you have a question, comment? Is that what you're?
I was just going to ask if Yvonne and Wally got the answer to their question.
I did, but then I had a follow-up question about where the funds were going for Super Bowl Sunday.
They're going to the food shelf because we're also going to on the 17th, when it's Ash Wednesday, and we're also gonna have drive-through communion. We're gonna have, if you wanna bring soup, you know, cans of soup and stuff, then you can bring those to the church. And Donna and Anita and Steve and I will be there to, you know, help if you get a lot of donations, and you can also drop out your cash donations there too.
Excellent, thank you. Next item on there was the live nativity. This was our first experience doing the live nativity. We had over 115 cars full of people come through. We had wise men, we had shepherds, we had baby Jesus. I've heard something about somebody wants camels for next year. So I don't know what we can do about getting camels. We also collected a lot of food during that also. Filled up the back of my pickup truck and filled up Jeff Johnson's SUV also. And
1,400 pounds.
1,400 pounds of food that we collected in that one night, in 2 hours. That was amazing. So nice job with live nativity. Looking at going through, next item on the agenda, or next group, was the Adopt a Pumpkin and Kelly's Kids. We have those two accounts there. Jim, Virginia, anything you would like to add in regards to those two ministries? Okay, the Centennial Food Shelf. In 2020, we collected just shy of $6,000 in cash donations for the food shelf, in addition to food that was dropped off at various events or in our food shelf box. So nice job with the food shelf. Finance team, there is quite a bit of information. Do we have a member from the finance team who wanted to highlight some of these items? Either Don or Mary, John or Susan?
I can go ahead and do a highlight if the other folks don't want
Thanks,
to.
Mary.
It was a busy year with finances, and we had applied for a PPP loan and we did receive it. And we'll talk about it later on. Where it shows that our income was 279,000. Without the PPP loan, we were at 248,000. And if you can see our expenses, we're at 267,000. Without that PPP loan, we would have been 20,000 in the hole. I mean, granted, there maybe were some things we wouldn't have been able to do, but we ended up, because of the generosity, we had enough in our general fund that we were able to transfer, which we did with the vote of the congregation, to move 10,000 of that into our capital resources fund. But the PPP loan was, used to pay for our payroll, mortgage interest, and our utilities bill. We cannot apply for one for this year because one of the requirements is your income has to be down 25% year over year, which ours is not. So we're hopeful that the giving will continue to be very strong and that we're able to meet all the expenses. We were so grateful that we had worked hard to get online giving as an option in 2019, because that was just critical for us in 2020, that we were able to just kind of flow through that. So we're so grateful for all of you guys and your generous giving through the year. We'll continue to track everything. If anybody has any questions on the account balances, you can let us know. I won't walk through all of the account balances, but as you can see, at the end of December, we were $6,400 to the good. As a heads up, Susan and Don just entered all of the information for January, and as of the end of January, we are $1,800 in the hole. So January is always a tough year, but probably this is a little bit bigger than we've seen in the past. So it'll be a tough first quarter. Don or Susan, did you guys have anything to add? At the end of the report, it shows, if you go to page 20, it shows the overall church benevolence. I think this is always so important for us to show that, we tithe more than 10% of the income that we take in as well to the various ministries, whether it's, the St. Paul Area Synod or the Food Shelf, and all the different things that folks work on. So in addition to what we're able to do in the church, we tithe as well.
Yvonne and
Excellent.
Wally have a question.
Okay.
Hello. So a couple questions. One is on the account balances. It says Marilyn Hanson's Inspiration. I was wondering about that. And then what about Friends at Home? Because usually they're listed on here under designated.
I'll start with Marilyn Hanson. That was a gift that we had received from Marilyn. She had listed the church as a beneficiary on a life insurance policy. And when I was on council, we had decided that we were going to hold that fund out and we would use it partially to support projects. I know that we've used some in the past, and obviously we haven't used anything this year. I'm trying to remember last year, I think we used it to help with computers. Correct me if I'm wrong, Don. So it's used for those types of things where it's not part of the budget, but if it's something that we need to do, we said that Marilyn would like that we have that available, that we can help support projects. For the Friends at Home, I think we rolled that up under social ministries last year.
Looks like John Tennyson has a question or comment here. John?
Yes, I believe Maryland's financial, the money in there too is also to be determined by council on how to spend that. Finance just keeps track of it.
Correct.
John, friendly reminder, you can't just raise your hand. Try to click the raise hand button so that you pop up on our screen. Thanks.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Just to clarify, I think what you're talking about, Yvonne, was the Homebound Ministries. Is that what you're talking about? That was the money that was in there, which was $13.12, was transferred to social ministries last year.
Thank you, Mary. And it's good to hear from you, by the way.
Good to see you
All right.
guys.
All right, thank you. Anything else in regards from finance? Any questions from anybody else, either in the chat or hitting the raise my hand button? Okay, moving on to Crisis Fund. We had a tremendous year in gathering funds into the Crisis Fund. The balance started out at about $1,100 and ended up over $4,000. Over $425 in gift cards were collected from the congregation. So thank you for your support and adding to that group there. Endowment, anybody from the endowment team want to just kind of share a little bit about, maybe give a background of what the endowment fund is and how that can help benefit St. Mark? I put him on the spot there, sorry.
All right, I'll jump in here.
Thanks, David.
The endowment fund is sort of an interesting deal. All of the donations into the endowment fund or the gifts into the endowment fund cannot be spent. We can only spend the earnings. So that's one thing that's sort of unique. It's meant to build up a fund where it will perpetually earn income for the church. And I'm probably, like I said, put me on a spot here. I was trying to think of all the things we can spend the money on it. I know we've done a few, helped with some of the improvements and some ministry things, which is different than the scholarship fund, which is scholarships that can be handed out to youth of St. Mark. We have not actually ever, as long as I've been part of the committee, had anybody apply for a scholarship. I think there are some stipulations on what your studying is, but we've also talked about what to do with that because we're just sort of sitting on those funds, and they should be used for some of the kids.
Okay.
As the other update I have is, you see the balances are only through September 30th. Thrivent is generally late in getting us the numbers for the end of the year. I have received them in the last week or so, and the fourth quarter was really good. I think the balance is up over 120,000. So we had a really good fourth quarter of earnings.
Excellent. Thanks, David. Is the amount of contributions versus what the total account balance is? Do you have a rough approximate number of what principal we've collected?
Give me 2 seconds on that.
Not a
one.
problem. I was what I want to do is kind of explain to members and show them that, based upon what we have collected in our original endowment, what has grown and how that can help benefit the church in the future by building that endowment fund up.
Yes, I'm getting a little close here.
Yvonne and Wally have a question.
We do. So looking under the endowment team, that David was speaking to, the starting value is not the same as back on the account balances, page 19, where that starting value on January 1 looked to be 111,000, and on the endowment team it says 91,700. So I'm wondering.
I'd answer that because I noticed that also. What it was is the endowment fund. Actually, there's two investments we're in. One was Thrivent, which is that 90,000. There's also some in Fidelity that's about 20,000. For some reason, the little grid there under the endowment team only included the Thrivent and not the Fidelity.
Then a follow-up question, David, maybe you can answer, is I see debits and credits on both endowment funds, Scruton Scholarship in general, but in the account balances page, though on the endowment page, there's been no disbursements or contributions.
And I can actually answer that. When Dave shares the reports with the finance team, Susan enters in if there's quarterly, if there's an increase in the investment or a decrease in the investment. That's how she enters and adjusts those.
So that's a change in value then versus contributions or expenses?
Exactly.
Or disbursement?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
On our balance, the donations are about 72,500 of the roughly 120,000 of value.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. Memorial team. Memorial team included some items there for projects that they're looking at. We've also received memorials in memory of James and Robert and Ruth and Erna and Dick. And then they have some ideas of things that their wish list includes. So that is something that you could peruse through and look at those items. Maggie, Sandy, Don, anything you would like to add in regards to memorial team? Okay, thank you. Property management team, we had things that got finished up. The windows up in the fellowship hall got stained and finished up there. We're still waiting to get the crew together for the basement windows to get those finished up. We started some of the siding components outside, and I think some more siding is going to be continuing on this summer. Parking lot was resurfaced or sealed and striped. And some other items. We're going to look at continuing some improvements as far as trimming and cleaning up a little bit of the outside. We had a wonderful group of people that I think the little garden gnomes that were doing some work all around the church all summer long. That was cool to see all of the trimming and manicuring that was done for that. Anything from any other questions in regards for Sean or myself or Sandy by chance in regards to property items?
Did you see my hand?
Now I do.
Okay. Okay. I just want to give a shout out to Nancy and to Karen Gregory. Nancy helped me with the nursery and also the library, and Karen helped me with some of the classrooms. The nursery, everything in the nursery has been cleaned and it's all ready to go for when we start up again. The library also has been much better organized. And it looks a whole lot better in those rooms. And many of the rooms look a whole lot better. In the very beginning, when this happened, what prompted my beginning to go to the Sunday school rooms was this little trail of wrappers on the floor that I followed into a classroom, and lo and behold, the little mice were in the classroom eating the candy that was left in a cupboard. And that's what prompted me to say, you know what, we need to clean these Sunday school rooms out thoroughly. So they all have been cleaned out, organized, and they're ready to go with just some minor dusting that will have to be done before we start up again. So that's all I wanted to say.
All right,
Thank
thanks.
you, Nancy. Nancy, thank you, Sandy, for everything you've done too.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
And thanks for all of our lawnmowers. And we also rolled out a new crew using some of those same folks for helping coming up with a shoveling schedule for the sidewalk. So each of us has 4 days that we're responsible for. And if it snows on one of those days, we'll come on up to the church and shovel. If it doesn't snow on those 4 days, then either or come on up at another time. So adding that. Staff support. Staff support, looking for information or insight on staff support. Anything that anybody wants to add in regard to that? There's quite a bit of information there. It looks like Joanne submitted that, but we have other people that did insight on that. Okay, another component is the Thrivent Choice dollars. You can see some of the deposits that were made from congregation members for Thrivent Choice. And there's the income and there's the expenditures component on that. So it looks like our ending balance for 2020 was about $1,800. Thrivent Choice. And next item up is funeral team. And if we can make a note on Nancy's earlier item in regards to adding, refresh my memory, Nancy, for funeral team.
Sandy has a question.
Okay,
Jim Erickson.
Jim Erickson, that's right. Okay, Jim Erickson. So we'll add that to the minutes for the funeral team. And Sandy, question?
I just want to clarify, in the previous report, the pastor's report, it listed funeral for my husband, Rob, and that there was no funeral. If you remember right, March 15th was the last day of in-person church. And that evening is when he passed away. And everything went crazy on March 16th, including at the funeral homes. And so there has been no official funeral. And at this time, I'm probably doing a graveside funeral in the spring when we can do something.
I'll specify to that. I just wanted people to know that I did go to your house and we had a small little something, so it's not like nothing was done.
Oh,
That's what I meant by that. So there was
Okay.
a small, because I knew a formal service wasn't gonna happen, but I wanted to list
Right.
that I was a part of something that we decided to do informally,
Okay,
just to clear.
all right.
that. Okay, but thank you for specifying that.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, for those of us who had funerals during this last year, it's been a tough and trying time to try to bring closure and get support and such. So thoughts and prayers for each and all of us who have had to deal with those types of things. Worship team. I just want to say, as council president, I want us to say thank you to the worship team and everyone who's helped be a part of the worship services, whether it's helping film or whether it's singing or instruments or all the readings that have been done. It's been amazing to watch us go from not having stream services to having stream services and looking at what that's done for the number of people who are watching St. Mark online. It's amazing to hear comments come in from a wide variety of places about people watching our service, or maybe interested in coming to our church at some point once we do open up, just because they got exposure to see us online, to listen to the sermons, to listen to the music, to watch the choir members or some of our readers. So it's been amazing for the worship team. So thank you. Anybody else want to add anything about the worship team group? And minutes submitted?
Just that equipment has been purchased to do live streaming, and it is at the church. So once we get our internet stuff figured out, which hopefully will be sooner rather than later, we eventually will be going to live streaming. And then live streaming will continue even after we start meeting again. So if you ever can't make it to the building, you'll still be able to watch worship online. So that's something we definitely wanted to make sure that we still were able to do.
Yep. That's going to be a huge improvement for those of you who have tried to connect wirelessly at the church and wondered why can't I connect? That's because we have a blazing slow 7 megabytes. Yeah, 7 megabytes per second, which I think the slowest that Comcast even offers is 25.
Yeah, it's
So-
laughable. It's laughable.
It's laughable. And I think, what was it, Thursday when I was in, the internet crashed how many times for you, Jenny, Pat? Yeah, over 5 times. And then it's out for a good 15, 20 minutes per time. So yeah, we're gonna be switching over to Comcast. They're gonna be pulling in some new lines off the power lines and rewiring the church. And we're gonna have a blazing live stream capability coming in the next hopefully less than 45 days or so. So that's great there. All righty, next item is the report from Bishop Lowe. Any questions or comments or any highlights, Pastor, that you want to say in regards to Bishop Lowe's report? I'm sure everyone has read it.
I'm just grateful for her leadership and her transparency in figuring out how we do church now. So I'm grateful to have her as my bishop, and their staff has been so wonderful in checking in with all the pastors of our synod and just making sure we're doing okay, making sure that they offer worship help if needed, if pastors need to take a break. So I'm grateful for her presence and her leadership. And she did get reelected again, so we have her for another 6 years. Woo. Okay.
Good, excellent. Okay. All righty, new business. 1 year ago, we made some proposal changes to our constitution. Those have to sit in place for a year, and then they get ratified at the next annual meeting, which is now. So we'll need to, and basically it was section 12 something 5. I wrote that down. I didn't write it down detailed wise. The congregation approved it a year ago, so now we need to have a formal vote. Oh, yeah, Jenny, sorry.
I was just gonna say it was 12.05 in the
12 point,
Constitution.
that's what it was. Thank you. To 12.05 in our constitution. So now we need to have a formal vote to ratify those changes that we approved 1 year ago. Okay. So those in favor, thumbs up in the window.
Also, we
Oh.
need to count these. So keep your thumbs up until we tell you to put them down.
Okay, thank you. So thumbs up in the window. We're going to leave it up
Or page 1.
as they are counting page 1 and page 2 on their screens. Ratification of our constitution, which we approved preliminarily a year ago, has to sit in place for a year
I have 34.
and then ratify it.
Glennis.
Do we have all the thumbs up counted? We're pausing.
Okay, we're good. Thank you.
Okay, those
Yes.
opposed, thumbs down.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. I believe it passed.
Yeah.
Yes. All righty. Next is nominations from the congregation for church council members.
Yep. So for this, Jenny's gonna share her screen and kind of show you what the ballot looks like. Unlike last year when we actually had to vote, this year it's just a straight vote all the way down. We have one person for each spot. So we have Karen Gregory moving in from vice president to president, Kent Bernard as vice president, Nancy Richter being appointed as secretary, Susan Kuzman as our ongoing treasurer, and our at-large council members, David Kelling from last year, and then new to this year would be Brenda Weaver. If there are any other nominations from the floor, those can be offered now at this time, and you can raise your hand if you want to nominate someone else.
You could type them into the chat also if you
You
want.
can also type it into the chat as well.
Yep.
And if we don't see any, and what we will do is we will vote on this as a whole. So if everyone has had a chance to see the ballot. Okay, and seeing that there are no nominations from the floor or AKA from the screen, then we will close out the shared screen. And we will do a vote for the
Hey.
ballot itself.
We have to vote individually.
No,
All right, those in, do each one individually or for all three as a lump sum?
Individually.
Individually.
no, I thought it says a lump sum because there are no other members that are in competition.
Altogether, the whole council.
Yeah.
The whole
the whole-
council.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
the whole council.
Okay, those in favor of Karen Gregory for president, Kemp Bernard for vice president, and Brenda Weaver for member at large, thumbs up for a yes.
Do we have to count these?
Yeah.
Okay. 1, 2.
And we'll have you leave them up while they're counting to get the tally.
Two, 33. 33. Thumb wars are happening. Oh, Lord. Should have 53 again. Okay, we're good. Thank you. Thumb war extraordinaires.
And those opposed, any thumbs downs? Okay, thank you.
Okay, come here.
All righty. Next, the council would like to make an appointment for secretary, and the church council has appointed Nancy Richter as secretary. Congratulations, Nancy. Thank you very much.
Yay. We are so grateful. You're fine.
We would also like to thank our outgoing secretary, Mary Lund. Thank you for your, how many years total, Mary, was that you were secretary? 4
4.
years of secretary, so thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mary. Okay.
Wait. Just
All right, as I'm trying to look over my notes here, I think that is it. Next, we go on to the plan for ministry.
Thank you, Mary Lund. Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Nancy, if you have any questions, just text Mary. She'll help you out, right? All righty. Next, we have plan for ministry. And we went through that back in January. We went through item by item, line by line. Do we usually open it up for any discussions first?
Yes.
Okay, so you've had an opportunity to see the plan of ministry now over the last month. Are there any questions in regards to the plan for ministry 2021? Either type it into the chat or hit the raise my hand
Raise
button.
your hand button. Amazing.
Yes. There were 2 things that we wanted to highlight. First of all, the PPP loan. Mary talked about our PPP loan and how it helped us over the last 12 months. I can't remember, Mary, did you talk about how we are not eligible for it this next round as of right now? Okay, yep.
Yeah.
And then,
I just want to mention, we talked about this at the town hall, but if you look at the payroll and the year-over-year numbers, it's super confusing because of how we had to track it for the PPP loan. So we apologize for that ahead of time.
yeah, there's some extra record keeping that had to go on for that. And there was some overlap time also with Tori and Jenny. So there were some added costs and expenses there as we were bringing Jenny up to speed. Also the staffing increases that were in there. We do staff 1 year and pastor the next year. They kind of alternate that. But any questions from anybody in regards to the plan for ministry? Okay, so this would be our third voting now, our third opportunity to vote on the plan for ministry.
Can I make a note real quick?
Yes.
Just know the plan for ministry looks relatively similar to last year's. It maybe increased a little bit, but by voting on this, everyone here is also making the dedication to just know that this is a budget that we are going to strive for, a budget that is going to be, again, another interesting year, just with us not being in person yet, and knowing that we do not have that extra support right now from the PPP loan. They could always change, but just to be aware of that as you vote for this. Thank you.
Okay. So voting for the plan for ministry, those in favor. Oh, sorry. It looks like Yvonne's got a question. Sorry, Yvonne, didn't see that there.
Yeah, we were wondering what the leap of faith is. I mean, generally in the past, we've seen, what our anticipated income is, and then we've been able to see that gap. Do we have visibility into that this year? Am I missing it in the report?
That's a Don question, Don.
Well, this year it's been very difficult because we've not had as much of people turning in their promise cards. So it's been very hard to track it. But I will try and see if we can put that. They're still coming in. And as you heard Pastor ask or say, please, turn in promise cards. So that's the only reason it hasn't been done, is because it's so different and all this other stuff.
Can you update us what we know now at this point?
Yeah, we do have some promise cards that have been turned in because we created a Google form for people to fill out, and we did have a decent response from there. I think 25 people filled out their promise cards from that. And Don, some people turned theirs in physically as well, but
right now, the best way to tell you is that we have the amount per week is $2,800 per week. And so that is a little bit lower than we have in the past.
We need how much per week?
And I don't have Anita was asking how much we need per week, and I don't have that. I don't know if you have it or not. I don't know.
But we can work on that. I think that's something that we were printing it in the bulletin every week. I know when we were meeting of how much we need per week. So Don, if we can come up with something and maybe send that out just so people can see the gap in awareness, that might help.
I will do that.
If we just take what we spent last year, just for our expenses last year, it comes out to $3,400 a week that we need.
Okay.
It is a significant leap of faith, Yvonne. There's no way around it. Like I said, we ended the year with $6,400 in December. As of January, we're $1,800 in the hole. People seem to step up. That's the leap of faith. That we think the ministry is important, and we put forth a budget that we think allows us to return to worship in person, and provides the resources that our staff and pastor need in order to do that. But it's a huge leap of faith this year.
Also, I said $2,800 is what has been promised so far. And when I've calculated out what comes in from non-promised amounts, it's about 35% above or additional of the 2,800.
Okay. Does that help, Wally and Yvonne?
Yep, absolutely. I'm okay with the leap of faith. I think that's absolutely fine. It was just, it's always been interesting to see the numbers, and Don's numbers have almost always been spot on.
They have been.
He's so good at nailing that. So I was kind of surprised not to see them. So
Yeah, and I think, I think Pastor, I think you reiterated that in your conversation with the other churches in the area, they're seeing the same type of a thing. So we're all kind of in the same predicament, you know. We can use all of those buzzwords, unprecedented, and all the other list of terms that we've picked up in our vocabulary over the last 12 months. Okay, so are we ready to vote on the plan for ministry for 2021? Okay, those in favor of approving the plan for ministry 2021, thumbs up in the windows, please. And we do need to get a count on these. So we'll leave it up. Getting a count for approval of the 2021 plan for ministry.
God, we're good. Okay, thank you.
All righty, those opposed, thumbs down. Okay, excellent. Looks like that passed, correct, Jenny and Pastor? Excellent. All righty. Next thing on the agenda is It's the Little Things. Pastor, will you talk about that? Well, the dogs definitely want to talk about it. That's
Dogs
awesome.
are so excited about it.
Dogs are so excited.
So we've kind of been teasing you a little bit with this. So in the fall, we were asked to be a part of a class at Luther Seminary called Vision and Mission, Innovation and Mission, where when I was in seminary, they gave us like random case studies that didn't even actually exist. Whereas now they got smart and they're like, hey, let's talk to actual churches that have actual stuff going on and see if we can come alongside them and help them out. So we chose, each church could choose what they wanted to focus on. And we focused on stewardship because we kind of have this, as we literally just talked about how it fluctuates so much and that we have this leap of faith and that at the end of the year, we give a big ask and it always comes to fruition. So we had a small group of 6 women. We had an all female group that came up with different ideas of how to re-energize stewardship and how to bring it back into our daily living at St. Mark. And they came up with this project called It's the Little Things that we fell in love with and are so excited to be introducing to you today. So what It's the Little Things is, it is a monthly experiment that each household will take part of and then record kind of their experience with each experience, whether you record a video of it of yourself, whether you write it down in a journal and just talk and reflect on how each experiment has affected you. So we are kicking off this month and it's called
100.
It's not called 100.
Yeah, it is. I got it. I'm sharing it. Every 100.
Every 100. That's what it is. So this one is just kind of the way to get it out to you right now to get the idea. So this month is a way for you that if the whole budget were $100, this is how it would break down percentage wise. So you would know where your money is going instead of just saying it's going to the general fund. This is how it gets broken up into. So this kind of gives you just kind of a basic, maybe more tangible idea of our general fund and how we lay it out. So in the months to come, there is going to be a different experiment that you will have the option to pick up at the church. And if you can't pick it up, we can figure out ways to deliver it to your house. But we want to make sure that everyone who wants to participate has the option to either pick up or have it delivered. Each of the experiments is something very different that focuses on all the varieties in which stewardship shows up in our lives. So there is one about creation. There is one about yeast. There is one about, now I'm blanking on all of them. There's a confetti one. There's one, cards of encouragement. These are all ways that we are stewards of God's blessings. And so each month you will be given an envelope, and in that envelope will have a card like this that'll have a scripture on it, as well as what the experiment is. we are hoping that you have the whole month to do the experiment, and then to be able to write your reflections down or shoot a quick video. But we want to gather those reflections up. Maybe every 3 or 4 months, we'll gather those up and we want to share them. So then we also know that at the end of the year, we have all these different experiences about stewardship and how diverse they look between each family, but also how uniform they can be as we celebrate stewardship as a congregation. They are very creative. Everything is done for us. Everything was provided for us printed wise. And on top of that, you're like, well, how are we supposed to pay for all these materials that you're going to give us, Pastor Molly? Well, the school had a $700 grant for this class to give to churches that needed it. And none of the other churches in their projects needed the money. So St. Mark got all $700. And Jenny and I got all the materials on Amazon. My house looked insane getting all these boxes of all the materials that we need. But we are going to be creating 120 experiments, envelope things each month for you to come pick up. The next one for March. So today's was February, just to give you the idea of the breakdown of every $100. The March experiment will be given out on Ash Wednesday and drive-through communion, which is February 17th. You are invited to come and get ashes on your forehead to gather communion. You'll get your March, It's the Little Things experiment. You will also get your Lenten devotional. You will also bring cans or monetary donations for Super Bowl Sunday. Also, side note, we also know that Mardi Gras bake sale was a really big thing that St. Mark did to gather money for Tanzania. Obviously, we're not getting together, nor is she eating candy. Sorry, the dog's eating candy. It's the Little Things projects in October is for Tanzania. It's a money envelope and it'll be an opportunity for you to collect money for Tanzania in October, which is normally when we have our Tanzania dinner anyway. So Tanzania and raising money for it is in the stewardship, It's the Little Things campaign. So just know that that is covered there. I'm super excited about this campaign. The women in this small group are brilliant. And I told them that we are a very hands-on congregation and just kind of need a little guidance to go in the right direction. And I think this will do it for us. It gives us creativity, but also freedom and flexibility to really wrestle with stewardship and what that means for us and our congregation. So if anybody wants to be a part of the assemble process we're going to probably assemble 3 months at a time. So if anybody wants to be a part of the assembly of putting these It's the Little Things monthly projects together, you can shoot me an email, a text, or Jenny an email or a text and let us know, and we can work on getting that, because we need the hands to safely do it. We had a group of amazing women that came together and did the Advent boxes. It's been a long morning. The Advent boxes. But we also are hoping too that since we did Advent boxes, that we'll be doing a Holy Week kit of some sort too. So there will be tangible things during our worship services during Holy Week. So stay tuned for that as well. We are super busy and we're throwing a lot at you. Know that you can do any and all of it in the way that makes sense for you and your family. Because, we have adult education, we have It's the Little Things, we have Lent, it's a lot, but
It's going to be amazing.
It's going to be amazing. And we got options, and we hope that you participate as best you can. So thank you. It's the Little Things. Get excited. It's
Excellent.
a bummer that that movie that just was released is called The Little Things. I don't know if you saw that. It's kind of a horror movie, and I'm like, great.
This is not a horror movie.
This is not a horror movie. It's a stewardship campaign.
just like everything in the last 12 months, you just can't make this stuff up. You know, it's you take it and go. All righty. All righty. That brings us up to affirmations and for the good of St. Mark. And Pastor, what was your idea again? We were going to do with affirmations. We were going to have people raise their hand and they were going to I'm drawing a blank here right now. I'm going through my mental list.
So they are, so affirmation of St. Mark, this is kind of when people can kind of share the greatness that happened this year, an experience that you had, a shout out to someone. This is an opportunity for us to be able to lift each other up in this time to celebrate the greatness in the crazy 2020. And just raise your hand and we will get to you as we can. Not all at once, please. Good stuff did happen.
Good stuff did happen. Who would like to start out with a affirmation of St. Mark or to refer to somebody?
I will start. I would just like to thank everybody for welcoming me with open arms. I know that I came in at a weird, strange time, and I am looking forward to seeing all of you in person someday soon, hopefully, and really starting to get to know everybody as well. So thank you. Thank you. That's all. I don't even know how to say thank you, but thank you. You guys are amazing. So
thank you. Thank you. I would like to say just thank you to all of the online worship participants again. I can't reiterate how important that's been. From what I've heard from members to be able to watch and participate in the services, getting our bag of communion stuff, picking up those on Wednesday and having that, or getting the blessing, getting just prayers and hearing from people during that time. It's been very thankful for and a great opportunity. So thank you for everyone who's been doing that. Sandy?
I would just like to say that I thought the Advent, the nativity that was done was just wonderful. And I hope that we continue that. And I'm willing to help if you need help doing that. I thought it was great. Very much appreciated.
Thank you, Sandy. It was a first and we succeeded. So we definitely will do it again. More llamas.
Camels.
How else? Oh.
So we're really thankful for Ginny and her leadership in the community, the fire pit, and just everything she does. She's a really great example for all of us. A great blessing.
Thank you, Ginny.
Thank you, Ginny. Thank you, Ginny. I know it's been a super hard year, but Ginny, you have been one that has persevered beyond, and we're grateful. Even the dogs agree with me. Sandy, do you have another one? Or
I just want to say, and Jenny, you're always so positive and upbeat. I appreciate that because, it's not been such a great positive, upbeat year. So thank you for that, Jenny.
Did Jenny have one? Jenny's raising her hand.
Ginny, you are raising your hand.
Yes. I've had a really, really tough year. Yesterday was another really bad day in my life. And I want to thank a member of our church that made a phone call to me yesterday that made my day really bright. Thanks, Sean. I appreciated it.
Ginny, we hold you in deep prayer. We shared it in worship this morning.
I know you did. I saw the service.
Okay,
Yes.
good. Ginny's sister passed away yesterday. And so we just hold you and everyone in prayer that is just mourning the loss that
Yeah.
we are not able to create a space to be together in that loss.
Yeah.
So
I just would like to share that yesterday, 2 years ago, Margie lost her daughter. She was 52 years old and she had a massive coronary. So 2 years ago, we buried her. And Margie died yesterday, almost in the same hour that Teresa did 2 years ago. So it was really tough for her family. But thanks, Sean.
Sandy, you have your hand raised?
Nope, I'm good.
Oh, okay. I'll lower it. Can you mute yourself?
Anyone? Anyone else?
Linda Matson had written something in there too. Just says, thank you to Pastor Molly, Jenny, the council leaders of St. Mark, and volunteers. I didn't know if you saw that, Mary Lund.
I just wanted to say thanks for everybody who got all this stuff together. See, I'm gonna cry. Got all this stuff together for worship, and also for all the thoughtful cards when my dad passed away. I appreciate it. It's been tough. I've had a lot more tough days than I thought. And not being able to have closure has been really tough. So thank you for everybody who's reached out.
absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. I know there are many people on here that are grieving and again, have not been offered the opportunity to be able to grieve together because of COVID. And that makes the loss that much bigger, I think, for people. And so we just hold all of you who are held down by this grief and are hanging on to it because you haven't necessarily been able to put it anywhere. We have an amazing and loving congregation, though, that I think has stepped up and gone beyond and reached out to those who are hurting. And I just ask that we continue to do that because grief never goes away. It never goes away. It just shows up differently each day. So I want to hug everybody that is crying right now. And know that we are with you and that we see you.
Anyone else?
Yvonne and Wally have a thing and then Karen will be next.
Yvonne and Wally?
I think, I know we've talked about all the people that have been involved in worship. I think a special call out to Donna for all of her accompanying she's done and the way she's helped pick music and she's playing for everybody. And I just think she's really done an amazing job of stepping in and providing us leadership in that space. So shout out to Donna.
Absolutely.
Also a shout out to whoever, I don't know who was involved in getting the parking lot. If you haven't seen the parking lot,
Which you can't see now.
which you can't see, well, you kind of see through the snow, and the ice, but it sure does look nice.
It looks great.
It looks wonderful. It was needed. Absolutely.
Yep.
All right, Karen, you were going to say something. Karen Gregory.
You're on mute.
Wait. Karen, you're muted. Hold on. There you go.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you to all the people who shared in the services. Charlie was an inspiration. Somebody that little who can touch us with word just as insightful. But to everyone who shares in the music, it makes the service real. So thank you.
Thank you, Karen.
Anyone else? Trying to scan the pages here, see if I can see anything.
Dave?
Yes.
David?
Jenny? Yes.
I would like to say thanks to you for doing the fire pit, and I'm hoping that we can all have a hot dog time back there and some hot chocolate and enjoy some music. Jim and I want our congregation to enjoy that, and thanks for making it happen.
You're welcome, Jenny. You're welcome. And definitely we'll be doing that. And I know the Boy Scouts have used it. Is it 4 times already also? Wasn't sure if you were aware of that. So it's the least that I could do. I'm glad we've been able to gather out there a little bit. I'm looking forward to a lot more also.
I have every intention of when we are gathered back again. I don't know if you guys remember, well, you do probably remember when I came, we did pie with the pastor. We're going to do that again, except it's going to be pie with the people, because we all need to connect again and to reintroduce ourselves as changed, transformed people. And we will be gathered in the fire pit area and in the brand new parking lot and in, I mean, all the places in which we will, and we're everywhere we'll have internet. We are just going to be this new and improved place of transformed people. That is, I look forward to that day immensely. And I want you to know that I'm really intentional about making sure that everyone feels welcome back, including Patty. Where's Patty? Patty's on here. Patty, are you on here? Did she leave? Patty Huseth is like our newest and only member of 2020. She joined right before the pandemic hit. I don't know where she went. She left, but Patty is our newest member, and she has been involved and staying connected with us. And oh, Patty, I just give great thanks for her. So we'll make sure that everybody gets to meet her as well. All right. Any other last minute affirmations?
Yeah, I'd like to give a shout out to Anita for everything she did for the Red Cross blood drive. And she did a great job in a really brutal year, and I just wanted to thank her.
Excellent. And from what I understand, basically since last summer, we've had all slots that have been taken up on the blood drive. And so, which is pretty impressive. So there's a high demand out there. A lot of places aren't doing blood drives currently. So that's a good thing. I'm glad we were able to keep that going. And I know they really appreciate it. And our numbers are certainly way up because of it too. So, all right. Thanks, Brad. Anybody else?
Also, we got to be a polling site this year too, which was awesome and wonderful, and a really neat way to serve our community in that way. And they said that they loved having the polls there. And so we look forward to doing that again when needed.
Yeah, they used to have it at the firehouse, and they would pull the fire trucks out and they would set up the polling right there where the fire trucks sit. But because of the new restrictions and stuff, they can't have people coming into the firehouse, but they are more than happy. They love having us be the hosting site for that. And I think it gives us some really good exposure and brings the community a little bit closer that way too. So any other affirmations? Anybody else have anything they'd like to add? If not, we will adjourn the annual meeting. Do I have to do anything special to adjourn? Or I can't, I don't think I ever got the directions on the adjourn part.
You need a motion to adjourn.
Need a motion to adjourn. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. I need a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
And a second.
I second.
Oh.
All righty.
Okay. So I will close with a benediction and then a prayer, and then everyone can be on their way. So know that this day and every day that the Lord blesses you and keeps you. The Lord's face shines on you and is gracious unto you. That the Lord looks upon you with favor and gives you peace. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Amen. Let's pray. Oh, gracious God, we give you great thanks for another phenomenal year, although it was crazy and full of curiosity and wonder and sadness and frustration. You continue to show up to be with us in all those moments. Lord, I thank you so much for the community of St. Mark and for all that they do through their gifts and talents. Thank you so much for the leadership of this place and for guiding us so far through this pandemic. We ask that you be with us as we leave this meeting. May we stay warm from the frigid cold, but have a wonderful day of celebrating the Super Bowl or one another's company as we continue to remain safe. Lord, we know that you love us unconditionally, and we pray to you this day that we love you a lot. Amen.
Amen.
Oh, St. Mark family, thank you. Thank you for